morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Welcome to Jack's Tap. It's episode 18. I am Jack. That is John.
Hello.
We are here. We have a new soundboard. Merry Christmas to me from my brother John. He got a new soundboard. It's got more ports. We can put more mics in. We're going to get other people on. And yeah, it's exciting stuff. This one's got more DACs, as John says.
Well, it's got better DACs.
It's got the same amount of DACs, but it's got better DACs. And that's what we want here at Jack's Tap. Best DACs in the game. Now that we're on iTunes, we were really thinking our DACs just aren't up to snuff. So we took it to the next level and we upgraded. And that's where we are now. God, I got on my lip here, top lip. They're both the front lip. I was about to say front lip. The top lip. I got like some dead skin right there at the kind of in the center tip, and I'm picking at it and I'm trying to chew at it. And I literally tell one of the 8-year-old kids I work with always to stop messing with his lips and picking at him and things like that. And I can't do it myself. And I'm 25. So that's nice. But we're going to leave it alone and it's going to be great. So this is episode 18. We did not do the 3 that we said we were going to do, but that's fine. It's 2020. We're moving on. We're staying consistent. Here we go. We got the best DACs in the game. And yes. So let's get into it. It's on this day. It is January 11th. In way back 1922, that's damn near 100 years ago. Insulin was first used on humans to treat diabetes. It was on a Canadian man. Leonard Thompson was his name, and he was aged 14 years. He had aged 14 years, and so he was 14 years of age. And they used insulin on him for the first time to treat diabetes. This made me think of a time when I was visiting my high school. We have 2 campuses. For all you listeners that are not New Trier alums, which I'm not sure if that's any of them or you don't know what it is, we have 2 campuses. There's a freshman campus and a sophomore through senior year campus. And when my advisory, which is a fancy New Trier name for homeroom, went to tour that new campus for the older kids, it was just, a bunch of guys. We're all hanging out we're all on an advisory. We're taking a tour. And one of the guys, Dan, had a fanny pack and he was wearing a fanny pack. And it's not exactly back in, 2010. It's not exactly in fashion. Wow, that's 10 years ago for a sophomore year boy to be wearing a fanny pack. And so this other guy, Dano, real pale blonde fella, little guy, little tyke. He was a swimmer, and so he would shave his blonde little head and be a bald boy, and it'd be funny because he was so pale and white. He said to Dan, he was like, "Hey, that's Dano and Dan. How about that?" He was like, "Hey, nice fanny pack, Dan." And Dan said, really deadpan, just like, "This is going to be really bad for you." He goes, "It's my EpiPen. I have diabetes." So Dano, the blonde little boy he is, got red as a plum, and he was very embarrassed. He was walking alone the rest of the tour, and we always brought that up for him later.
Wouldn't it be an insulin injector instead of an EpiPen?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. EpiPen is what I was suggested to get by my allergist that said, even though I'm not allergic to seafood and fish, that I might be intolerant to it. And so I should get an EpiPen just in case. And then I get a call from the EpiPen company saying that they wanted to get my permission to bypass my premium for insurance. And I was like, I'm not even allergic. I don't even need this EpiPen. How much is it going to cost on top of what the insurance will pay? And she was like, oh, it shouldn't be more than $9,000. Like, okay, go ahead and cancel that. Don't need the EpiPen. I don't have an allergy. They literally tested me with all the pricks in the arm, so I didn't do that. Makes you, be empathetic for the people who actually do need EpiPens, who are not diabetic people because they need an insulin injector, because in 22, they started that on a 14-year-old boy. In 1973, we head forward to 1973. In the modern era, it is the American League adopts the designated hitter rule. So this is when they started having pitchers only pitch and allowing the team to have a player that is a designated hitter. He only hits. He does not play defense. And so in honor of the designated hitter rule, I thought we would honor the National League by showing a home run highlight of Bartolo Colon, the fat Latinx pitcher here. I'm not sure which country of origin he is. Maybe Cuba, maybe Puerto Rico, maybe one of them. But he hits his first career home run.
Looking for his first hit of the year.
Bingo.
Deep left field. Back goes Upton. Back near the wall. It's out of here. Bartolo has done it. The impossible has happened. The team vacates the dugout as Bartolo takes the long trot.
A tradition in the major leagues is to leave the dugout for a rookie or like a player's first home run. Typically happens their rookie year, and he is 40 in this video, so it's nice and humorous. I talked over that, but the announcer just said this is one of the greatest moments in the history of baseball, which is over 100 years worth of history, and him being a pudgy old pitcher makes it the best moment in Major League history.
So they're supposed to go into the locker room?
They basically like ghost him and just, you could pause it, and like pretend like they're not there, because typically when somebody hits a home run, you're all in the dugout waiting for the guy, or even you go out on the field if it's a walk-off and you like celebrate with the person. But it's some like tradition to haze a rookie by not being there to celebrate with him for the first home run, and you pretend like you're not there and like you didn't even see it. They're like, "Oh, what's that? You hit your first home run? No, we weren't even here."
Got it. As they give him just tons of high fives.
Right, yeah. And then they come out and they're just like, we're joshing it.
We're just kidding.
Yeah, we're kidding. Great job. Way to hit a home run.
You did a wonderful job.
It helped our team, and we're happy because we're on your team. And this is what camaraderie is for now. And we were just being sarcastic earlier, being goofs. And we actually did see it. We're really proud of you.
Some goofs and gaffs.
Yeah, we saw some goofs and gaffs. We were just trying to get some laughs, So really good job. Sorry we weren't there for it. We'll be there next time. But we heard you did great. So yeah, the American League has a designated hitter. Kind of, if the Cubs were able to have Kyle Schwarber as a designated hitter, they might even be better. That's a big reason why they won it in 2016, because they won 3 out of 4 games in Cleveland. So how about that? Most National League teams aren't set up to be good for that, because they don't necessarily just have a player that is only good at hitting. Shouldn't say that, he's a decent left fielder. 2018, moving up to the modern age, 2018, YouTube issues sanctions against vlogger Logan Paul after he posted footage of suicide victim's body in Japan in December. So Logan Paul posted a video on YouTube of him going to this forest in Japan that is famous for being like the suicide forest where people go out and commit suicide. And he went through the forest looking for like people's dead bodies and was like laughing about it when he saw a dead body in the forest, and then posted it on YouTube. So that wasn't a good call. Since then, he's actually gotten bigger, I'd say. So it just goes to show where we are as a society. But thought it was interesting that that Susan Wojcicki looks exactly like Logan Paul, just with her hair done back. And so she must just be a little bit pissed off that, he's like, he's tainting her good name. So she's the CEO and she doesn't want any backlash because people are seeing her on the streets and they're saying, "You fucking pig," and they slap her across the face. And they're like, "Don't do that. Those people have suffered enough and you're making them suffer more," and they come up to her and they give her a noogie and they're like, "You wily little minx." And Logan's getting away with murder. So he doesn't have to do anything. And, but YouTube point number 2, that was the first point about them looking alike and her getting bullied on the streets, and this just being reparations for that. Point number 2, it's kind of funny that YouTube is issuing sanctions against a vlogger, a guy that when I first saw him, he was just a stupid looking blonde Californian kid on Vine, and he kept doing the splits and doing really terrible comedy on Vine, and he did the splits everywhere. And I just thought he was a little stupid idiot. And then it turns out now he's one of the most influential people with the youth. And he films people who committed suicide, just films their dead bodies for content. So that's fun. And also in 2018, while YouTube is properly handling issues on their website and with their people by issuing sanctions, kind of like good international diplomacy, handling it in non-intense and grotesque ways. Donald Trump in 2018 causes worldwide controversy when it is reported that he called African countries shitholes during immigration meetings. So that is our president currently in 2020. And that is on this day. Oh, also, don't forget about this. Whose birthday is it? Alexander Hamilton's birthday. That's who. And so the rest of this podcast will just be me reciting every word of Hamilton the musical from memory. Here we go. But I'm not singing it. We're just a whole episode. I'm just kidding. Let's not do that bit. All right. So, because also I forget what the first words are. It's obviously the song Alexander Hamilton. If you gave me the first 3 words, I'd have it and I'd be off and running. I'd be able to handle it. Because I'm just thinking when he was 10, his father split full of it, debt-ridden 2 years. And it, so I can get into it. I can pick it up and get going with it. But I just forget the exact first words. So I can't get my jumping off point. So that's why we're not doing it.
Yeah. And I never even saw it. So
I saw it twice.
Yeah.
When
mom and dad said they got tickets, I was like, I won't be going to that.
Yeah, you were not about it. Great show. Then I saw it with Emily, my ex, and her mom, and I had my arm around Emily like this for, I don't know, like 30 or 40 minutes during the show, and I all of a sudden just got like shooting like that, like spark. I call it sparkly stuff when your arm or leg goes asleep and it starts kind of sparkly stuff in you. And so I was like, oh shit, my arm is definitely asleep. And I like kind of bring it back and around like this, but because I couldn't feel it, I just like smacked this dude that was behind me luckily in the shoulder. I think it could have been in his face. I couldn't feel my arm, so I'm not sure, but I just whacked him, went back around, and I was like, did I just hit somebody? I looked back and he was giving me the stank eye, but we were in the middle of Hamilton, so you can't do anything. It's a good show. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a treasure. So we're going to get into the show. First, weed is now legal in Illinois. It's pretty cool. We got dispensaries. They have insanely long lines. They have very limited supply and very stringent rules that are making it not just as cool and dope as it initially sounded. High prices, a lot of taxes, things, everybody's getting a little piece, and I'm fine with it, and it's going to get better over time, and it's still pretty darn cool. But yeah, it's not there yet. But I did go to a dispensary in Evanston, MedMen. Go see MedMen across from the Chili's on the bottom floor of the parking garage. They're right on Church or Davis, I believe it is, or Maple. I think it might be Maple by the Hilton. And there's a Progressive Rent-A-Car, one of those. Enterprise Rent-A-Car, that's right. Progressive is the insurance. Anyway, MedMen. So there's a line of, I get there at 8:30 for a 10 a.m. opening, and I was 31st in line. But by the time it opened at 10 a.m., there had to have been at least 200 people in line. And whenever the people would first get to the line would start on the lobby, the indoors part of the parking structures lobby where like the elevator lets out and you validate your parking and such. And they would go in and they'd be like, oh, this isn't too bad. You can see them through a glass paned door that they're reacting. They're like, oh, not so bad. Well, okay, where do I go for the back of the line here? Okay, hey, is this the back of the line? And then the person who's in the line is like, oh, no, this isn't the back of the line. That's the line. And then he points to the outside where there's a bunch, like hundreds of just cold Chicagoans trying to get a little bit of weed. And their faces every time were just priceless. Fantastic to see somebody's heart break right in front of you. Nothing quite like it. And just have me staring right back at him like, yep, you had to get here before it opened, man. You're not even close. I'm going to get everything that you wanted before you get it. So that happened. When I finally got into the place, they would only allow you to buy an eighth of marijuana as opposed to the 30 grams in which you are legally allotted. But because of the insane demand for flour and the very diminished supply of that flour, they're not allowing you to buy that full 30-gram allotment. They only kept it to eighths. And so I wanted a gram of sativa and a gram of indica, and I picked 2 different strains of those. And then the guy was like, cool, anything else I can get you? And I was like, well, I see there's these pre-rolled joints that had 0.75 in each of them. So right now I'm at 2 grams total. I'm allowed to get 3.5. Why don't I get 2 of these 0.75 pre-rolls and then we'll call it 3.5 and we'll get out of here. And he was like confused. He was like, no, that's too much. Like, like I said, you can only get an eighth. And I was like, right, that's 3.5 though. So I'm right at 3.5. And he's like, how's that? And I said, well, I got 1 gram, then another gram. That's 2 grams. Then we're going to get 2 pre-rolled joints at 0.75 each. 0.75 plus 0.75 is 1.5. So now we got 2 plus 1.5 is 3.5. An eighth is 3.5 grams. He's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I don't think we can do it still, though. That's too much. I'm like, it's not too much. It's 3.5, 2, 1.5, 3.5, 8. It's a gram. And so we had to go over and ask somebody else who worked there. They confirmed. They allowed it. My elementary math is paying off once again. And my ability to teach people is at an all-time high.
And it's like, this is quite literally the amount that you guys are limiting.
Right.
Like to the number.
To the 10th.
Yeah.
I got the 8th to the 10th. So, yeah, I maneuvered my way. I'm a pro weed buyer, so I know how to get to 3.5 with the best of them. And I did it. And it was good. It was fine. It wasn't like freaking crazy. I've been to them in Denver and Boulder, and it's cooler over there. You don't get to actually see the marijuana or any of the products. You go in to the store, and it's just a line with all those, like, the line dividers, like all those seatbelt type straps that are keeping you, and it's just like a winding thing, but it's all just like white walls, and then you just go from that giant line outside to a smaller line in the store, and then you go into the back where it's kind of like another lobby, and then just cash registers, and then there's like a drive-through window guy behind it, and he's like the pharmacist, and he's getting you your stuff. You don't even get to see it. It's not that cool. He did like very diligently, as if I was ordering wings from Buffalo Wild Wings for pickup, be like, you got 10 mild, 10 honey barbecue, 10 Parmesan garlic, 1 ranch side, and a honey mustard. And so they did that with the marijuana. 1 gram Katsu Bubba Kush, sativa, 1 gram GG Harlem, indica. They didn't uncap it. I'm enjoying the object work of it, though. And giving the YouTubers something that they want. A lot of people have been asking for object work. They say, Jack, we know you're a pro improviser. Bring that stage work that you do live on stage in front of hundreds of masses of people. Bring it to the podcast. Show the people what they want. They want the video. They're all on YouTube. They want to see your hands moving. They want to see it gesturing to different things. Bring the stage alive. Bring the stage to us. Bring Jack's Tap alive. So that's what we're doing. And he said, I got 1 gram of Harlequin Express. I was trying to get Pineapple Express with the 2 pre-rolls. They were also 0.75 each. Could have still done the math. Doesn't matter. 2 times 0.75 is 1.5 still. 1.5 plus 2 is 3.5 still, and 3.5 is an 8 still. So it's still the same. But the Pineapple Express, as it is a very popular movie, along with a strain of marijuana, it was already sold out because I was 31st in line and because other people are basic and they must have gotten those pre-rolled joints. So, and then he was like, your edibles, mango flavored, your edibles, strawberry banana, and your temporary vape, or whatever that one is, your one-time use vape, because you got to get a little bit of everything. You got to spice it up. You got to get, samples. I just waited in line for 2 hours. I might as well get a good amount of things. I don't want to do this again for a while. So that's where we're at. Still got some of the stuff. Haven't even used any of them because that's who I am. Haven't even used one of them. Never used the stuff. Not into it. So yeah, we're waiting on Illinois to kind of get with the times a little bit more, but it's a great step into the positive direction. I'm happy for us. Let's move along to Ricky Gervais. He did a great monologue, his 5th time at the Golden Globes. And we got it's a 7-minute and 59-second long video. We're not going to do that, okay? We got a lot of content we want to get to. Got a lot of goofs. Got a lot of gaffes. We got a highlight reel here, and we're going to get right to it. This is Ricky Gervais's joke about the in memoriam not being diverse enough.
We were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. No. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch. So maybe next year. Let's see what happens.
Great joke.
No one cares about
pretty
movies
quick.
anymore. No one goes to cinema.
Hit the idea, hit the mentality of kind of this inclusive mentality of kind of just one or two of the pratfalls of it. How the ridiculousness of it can sometimes be brought about. You don't always need to have diversity in everything. I bet there would be a place that would not do an in memoriam because of it being too white. I bet that would be real. Here is a joke Ricky Gervais did about Jeffrey Epstein and Hollywood's relationship with him.
drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You like to make your own way here in your own plane.
So I like the reactions there because it kind of is a little telling of. It's obviously telling of who thought it was funny and who didn't. That's pretty clear, as laughter usually does. Adam Driver, a very hearty, genuine, laughing reaction. Lindsey Graham from Gilmore Girls got a big old little RBF on her there. Little not so entertained faced going with her. And I think it's telling of who she is as a person. And perhaps she was friends with Harvey Weinstein and she's a sexual predator. Moving right along to the next joke, which is Leonardo DiCaprio getting the hot seat pointed right at him and his relationships.
Right. The Irishman was amazing. It was amazing. It was. It was great. Long, but amazing. It wasn't the only epic movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... Even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know. You're nearly 50, son.
So, bingo, got Leo. He's enjoying it. He's having a good time. He knows he goes on dates with too young of girls, but he's Leonardo DiCaprio. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's endearing because he's Leo, and so he laughs. And he just saved a guy who was drowning while he was on his yacht. So, you know, actions speak louder than your other actions. And he's a good guy. And then here, great little rant at the end where obviously still making jokes, but, really putting the hot seat on all of Hollywood. It's the Hollywood hot seat provided by Ricky Gervais. Here's a nice little ditty at the end.
Oh. Apple roared into the TV game with a morning show. A superb drama, yeah. A superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God,
and fuck off, he says.
So, it's already 3 hours long.
Tom Hanks with a meme face response.
Right, let's do the first award. The first award.
All right, that's good. So, yeah, he goes in. He's hosted it 5 times. Every single time he's roasted the people throughout the show and in the monologue, which is like a very difficult thing to do, to roast somebody to their face and still make it fun. But fantastic. He's gained, what does it have? 13 million views?
Yeah.
But he's gained like 500,000 Twitter followers, he said. Pretty cool. Though it's probably a lot of like conservative people that are thinking he's like totally anti-Hollywood or like anti-PC and liberal, and which he is not anti-liberal because he's very liberal himself. So they're going to go to like one of his stand-up shows where he's just like, you know, talking about dead babies and joking about that, and they're going to be mortified. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, people are like, he's not on either team, really.
Right.
He's kind of just like, all of you are crazy fuck nuts.
Yep. I feel like that's the good mark of a comedian, or the mark of a good comedian is being able to just look at a situation and see the just ridiculousness of it, and not just immediately being like, well, this side's right, so I'll just excuse whatever's going on over there.
Yeah.
Speaking of politics, Joe Biden, this is a clip from a while ago. Seeing as the election is this year, it feels important to talk about one of the front runners in the Democratic primaries. Democratic election, the primaries are coming on up. Remember to vote. Every year at Jack's Tap that we've been here, we always promote civic duty and constitutional rights and upholding them and doing your best. What can you do for your country? Not what can your country do for you? Okay, so we're going to talk about Joe Biden. The guy's a freaking nut job. He can't think of words. He can't form a sentence. He can't give a speech without talking about how much he loves kids on his lap. And he can't help himself but to invite a whole crowd of strangers that happen to be children who are half naked because they were playing in a pool. And not only is he making them stop playing in a pool, which the kids are like, fuck this guy, but he makes them all get on stage with him while they're in bathing suits. And yeah, so let's show the very start of this speech here to just show how quickly he turns it into I get you're like a grandpa and it's I guess endearing, but the amount, just the sheer amount you do this makes it so creepy and not helpful as a political candidate.
Mouse, thank you very, very much. Thank you. Can I, before we start?
Before we start.
Hey, all the kids.
Hey, all the
Come up
kids.
here and listen. Come on up here. Come up behind me.
Before we start, hey, all the kids.
Because I'm not holding up between them and the pool, man.
Come up behind me.
Come on. My name's Joe Biden, Vice President Biden. Everybody.
Now invite fucking introduce yourself.
There's okay.
Can you pause it?
Look, folks.
Go back to that first kid that was just there. Yep, just a second later. There it is.
There's okay.
Very concerned. Looking at him who is this? And already Joe Biden putting his arm around a little girl. So that's nice. Right off the top. Okay. So he brings all the kids on the stage. They've got towels around them. They're clearly just gotten out of the pool. They were having a good time. Here comes the vice president, former VP, obviously, and to talk about. John, do you remember why he's there? It's somebody died in that city and he worked with him back in the day when he was lower in the political game.
Honestly,
I know that he
idea.
was talking about this guy that died who he used to work with, and then he just starts talking about how he worked as a lifeguard at this pool back in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. That much I gathered, but other than that, I've only ever seen it in meme format and stuff
cringy,
like that.
Cringy short clips.
Yeah.
So here is Joe Biden. He's hitting the talking points probably terribly, but I tried not to watch this whole thing. And then just really weirdly changes the subject and starts talking about his interactions with kids back in the day.
And his hairy legs.
Hairy legs.
Thing about. And by the way, I sit on the stand. And
gotta grab the girl again.
I got hairy legs that turn blonde
Jesus.
in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
What do roaches have to do with
and
it?
I've loved kids.
In the world just happened there.
Right.
So I learned about roaches.
And he's literally just saying right now, I love kids jumping on my so I learned about roaches. So first of all, let me change the subject. Let me grab this girl again. Let me tell you about how first of all, I can't. And he's like rubbing his fingers together like he's got a nipple or something. And he's like, I got hairy legs. And the kids would rub my legs down and look at my hairy legs and how it would turn. And I loved roach, so I saw roaches. And I saw plenty of kids jumping on my lap. And I love kids jumping on my lap. And that's what the Joe Biden promise is.
On my lap. And I tell you what, the men.
Wait, hold
now
on.
all men,
There, go back.
jumping on my lap. Come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Just
Okay.
looking so creepily down at the kids. And like probably grabs another one by the shoulder and he's like, I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And then he's like, as if it's like an emotionally warranted moment in a screenplay here in a book. And he's looking down at the kid and he's just like, and I love kids jumping on my lap. It is so cringy and creepy. And I don't care if that guy couldn't be less of a creep. And he's so genuine for his love of the youth. And he just means it as like a wholehearted grandpa type of vibe. But goddamn it, dude, stop talking about kids when kids are there with bathing suits on, about other kids who had bathing suits on, who rubbed your legs and jumped on your lap.
And I tell you what, the men, they're now all men, the guys I work with down here, and they're all guys at the time. They're all good men. Most of them made an awful lot of themselves. And Earl Larkin had a rough time. And some of you knew Earl. I came back as a public defender. I came back to Delaware and I got a fancy job with the oldest law firm in the state. But the city was burning. It was burning down here. And
Yeah.
He honestly sounds like Donald Trump. He's saying nothing in so many words.
Yeah.
Like, obviously Donald Trump is like, I don't know. I just haven't heard as much of Joe Biden, so Donald Trump has more clips of him sounding ridiculous because he's just saying nothing in so many words. But Joe Biden really challenging him. If it is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump in the actual election, America's going to shoot themselves collectively. That'll be the worst debates of all time. Just both of them, like, well, when I, and you know, when I was young, okay, but when I was younger and the kids were on my lap, and Donald would be like, you know, the thing, and he will, but he's a creep, just trying to recall words for as long as possible, and then say too many words with no substance.
Because you'd be in jail for your legs.
Right. Yeah. You'd be in jail. Gonna put you in jail. So really hope that guy does not get the nomination. But it very well could happen.
Really creepy.
Yeah, very creepy. Just not a good look. Also, that there's the racial difference. It's not even part of it, but just because of how terrible everything is in that, it's part of it. So, Joe Biden, great guy. Hell of a VP. Loves ice cream. Probably because a bunch of kids like ice cream and he hangs out by them. Here's a experiment that this guy, David Dobrik, who's a big YouTuber, did. It's a hydrogen peroxide explosion, and it's very large. And here's a quick video of them, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty big. It's super large, but they react way too crazily. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But let's watch it.
3, 2, 1, go! Oh my God! Oh my God!
They're already saying, "Oh my God," before it even happened.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! You got me running, going out of my mind.
It actually is pretty insane.
That is, yeah. That's a nuts angle. Though, is that like terrible for the environment? Can't be good for it.
Mommy, look, cotton candy.
Yeah, that joke sucked. But, yeah, in the moment, you'd be excited as shit about that. One thing I can't get over, why did they do it in their backyard as opposed to an open field? They clearly were excited about the giant size of it, so they weren't quite anticipating that giant of an explosion. But you can still, infer or hypothesize that if you're trying to create the largest hydrogen peroxide foam explosion ever, that you should do it in a large open field as opposed to your backyard with nice tile and your screened-in porch, like your screen doors right there, glass screen doors, or glass sliding doors, pardon, and it just like hits right into it. And then it starts flying away because you're up in the mountains, and it's just flying into the air, into the atmosphere. So that's nice. But that was pretty fucking giant.
Yeah, and I don't think it actually has any environmental type thing going on.
They exploded poison, and then they sent it out into the Los Angeles ecosystem, and that is what has caused the fires. I wonder if that would put out fires.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the solution to all of these wildfires.
I'm trying to remember if hydrogen peroxide is flammable. I would think so, because hydrogen is actually very flammable. I just don't know when it's in hydrogen peroxide form if it is inert or not.
I don't know.
Because I forget what it was called, but that really large blimp that
The
exploded and burnt.
Heisenberg, what is it? That's the guy in Breaking Bad.
I don't think that's it. But that was filled with, I believe, hydrogen gas.
Yeah, and that was a pretty giant explosion.
Yeah.
I remember getting that as a suggestion in an improv show before, and I knew just as much about it now as I did then, if not less. So didn't really give a great scene off of it. There weren't much things to do with that. Especially as I can't even think of the name right now. The Hindenburg?
Yeah, that's it.
There it is. Seeing as we got some time here, I hosted my New Year's Eve party. I'm just going to mention this. Great party, good time, 10 to 12 close friends coming over, and everything was going perfectly until about 2 a.m. when people were about to be heading home, and my friend Paul apparently peed in my closet. So, not what I wanted to happen. He was sleeping on one of my my leather recliners in the TV room. Very peacefully for a while. We were kind of goofing and gaffing with him, trying to get him to wake up. He wouldn't. He was very much out of it. Then we checked his pulse because we were just just in case, But he was fine. He was breathing, so there was that. But we were just well, he should be waking up right now. We are screaming in his ear. We were drunk. It was New Year's, and he was passed out very calmly. So goofing and gaffing. And then all of a sudden he gets up really quickly, and I didn't even notice for a second because we had moved on from trying to wake him up. It wasn't working. And I was like, oh shit, where's Paul? And Patrick was like, oh, I'll go find him. And he gets up, and then a minute later he comes back just shaking his head and looking at me sadly. And I was like, what's wrong? He's like, it's terrible. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, I'm so sorry, dude. It's terrible. I was like, okay. What, did Paul puke? He's like, it's so bad. I was like, okay, that's not helping me at all, but all right. Get up, go to the bathroom to see. I was like, okay, nobody's in here. Look in the kitchen. Nobody's there. Go back to the front in this room. And then there's Paul with his back to me in the little foyer where I have my front closet. And I noticed that there's a kind of shimmering little glow there at the bottom by the floor and by the... I had also shoved a good amount of things into the closet to put it away for the party, kind of not thinking about having it nice and organized, just like, oh, I'll put all this stuff in here so it's out of harm's way from everybody in the actual rooms of the party. Put towels everywhere, those carpet samples that I use as coasters, but apparently I put it right where the bathroom was. And but I came over and I was like, hey, still having been given no information other than it's so terrible, thinking like, oh, he must have been sick because he was drunk and puked. And I went over and I was like, what is that? Did you puke? And he was also not giving me information and being like, what? Me? No, I puke. I was like, okay, well, what? Clearly there's something going on over here. Patrick was just telling me it's terrible, I'm sorry. And I see a nice kind of shimmering liquid there on the ground. Can you just tell me what you did so I can at least clean it up? Like, I'm not going to like hit you or something. It's just, and he wouldn't tell me. So he walked away, and then I went back and asked him, like, what happened? And they were like, he peed, man. I was like, oh, you saw him peeing? And he was like, I just went over there and he had his dick out, and I walked away because I didn't want to be over there, and I came back and told you. I was like, okay, damn it. And I got really disappointed, and Ken immediately was like trying to like, because I was like gonna go and find Paul because he walked away, just because I was gonna be like, dude, you peed on my floor, what the hell? But Ken immediately was like, no, dude, don't get mad. And I was like, I'm not gonna like hit the guy, just allow me to be a little upset about having somebody pee in my closet. You don't need to immediately tell me that I have to calm down. I can get a little upset about finding out after 5 minutes of asking everybody that what happened, and then he peed in my closet. Went over, found him, said like, dude, you peed in my closet, what the hell? And then he got really drunkenly upset at me and was like, what the hell is this? Everybody's accusing me of doing that. And then he came over to the closet and he was like, oh, you're going to say I peed in your closet? Well, fuck you then. And he grabbed my coat and threw it into the closet. Hopefully not to where he peed, but maybe. The principle of it, though, was just piss poor. And so that was that. I got a Swiffer over there. I sniffed a good amount, burned a candle over there, but there wasn't much you could do. It was luckily 2 old pairs of shoes that I just recently replaced with new Asics. Little Christmas gift there. And my golf bag, so that's a problem for the summer. And the carpet that's in there, what are you going to do? Yeah, other than that, good New Year's party. Go ahead.
I definitely have had multiple friends pee in closets. Not mine, thankfully, but
right. That's the kicker.
There's a few stories. One was a buddy of mine on his first party in college, peed in his own closet. One of my friends walked down his stairwell that led up to his place, peed on the ground, and then proceeded to lay down in it. It was a classic.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite stories, actually.
Any photos?
No, just memories.
Yeah.
Wonderful times. I have thankfully
never peed in a
closet.
This makes me... Didn't I tell the story about me peeing on that love sack, and then after the sleepover, all the other guys wanted to get in the love sack with me to play video games? Yeah, I told that one. So let's tell the story of me shitting my pants. Where...
Strong left turn.
Well, but we knew we were going there. And so it was sophomore year of college before a tailgate. I was so tired when I woke up in the morning but I always feel the need to get really drunk at these events where everybody is getting really drunk because I don't want to go to them. I've learned that over time that it's not really my scene to be at these giant festivals or pre-games or giant parties or big clubs. It's just not my scene. It's not what I like to do. But if I'm going to go there, I want to get drunk as well because I don't want to just be sober like, God, this sucks. Like all these people are drunk and sweaty. I want to be one of the drunk and sweaty people because then you're less aware of all the drunk and sweatiness, even if it's your own drunkenness and sweatiness. Which is why I just generally avoid them now. But sophomore year, what I did was had 3 cups of coffee with, I forget what kind of alcohol in it, but they were spiked coffees. And no food, just 3 coffees with too much liquor in them. And it got me pretty darn drunk. And then we went to a pregame also before the fucking, why can't I think of it? The tailgate. And it was at Rosie and Hank Scholl's house. And I was outside in their backyard. And this girl that I was seeing at the time, Melissa, who was a girl that when I first got to Briscoe, my dorm, I was at the front desk getting a package, and she was in front of me in line, and Jamie Masnick was there, my roommate, and she just turned around and like said hi to me in a way that was like, I want to have sex with you, you know, like hi, like that. I didn't do it sexual enough. She did it more sexually, to the point where Jamie and I looked at each other like, was that literally what just, okay. And probably because she gave me a sexually charged hello that I felt confident to be kind of cocky. And I was. And then I ended up seeing her for like a month. But when I came to the point of trying to make the label of the relationship official, she said that like a month later, she just brought up like, yeah, I saw this thing on like Reddit or something. It was like, I want a guy who will like take me out for food, like do all these, basically do everything that a boyfriend does, but I don't want a boyfriend. And I was like, oh, okay, this thing is done. I don't need to be with a girl who wants me to do everything that a boyfriend does, but then can also just like have sex with other people. Not really what I'm looking for. Not trying to buy you dinner and then have you tell me that you had sex with another guy. That's not fun. So this girl, though, I was still with her at the time, and we were out back hitting golf balls for some fucking reason. And I remember her hitting me in the face with the golf club on the backswing and hit me in the forehead. And I was just like, oh, all right, that fucking hurt. And so that happens. And I went to go into the bathroom to see if my face was fucked up, but there was somebody in the bathroom, and then I realized I have to go to the bathroom myself. So I went outside, kind of away from people, to pee in the grass. And when I was peeing, I felt a fart. But because I had 3 cups of coffee and no food, and I hadn't pooped yet, when I farted, I shit my pants. And I was outdoors at a pretty giant party with poop in my pants. And it was not exactly solid, so it was pretty gross. And I was like, well, fuck. And the bathroom in there is taken. But what I thought about then was it was a pretty big house they had. I went to the basement bathroom, which luckily nobody was there when I went in. And I took my pants off, looked at the damage. It was pretty bad, but mainly the underwear. Like, my pants were good. The underwear was unretrievable. And they were a pair of these kind of smaller Parisian underwear that I think mom got me when she went in like 13 or something like that. And yeah, so there was all of a sudden I was in the bathroom looking at the damage, cleaning up my hamstrings because it got a little bit there, and somebody's like, there's multiple girls knocking on the door, and I think they like really needed to get in and pee as a group or something like that. And I was like, fuck, I have these shitty underwear just in my possession, but and I'm literally in the basement, so I'm underneath ground, but there was a window, like a fire escape window that was really small, and it was in the fall. So I put the underwear up on the grass, covered it in some leaves, made sure the room was not a disgusting disgrace and that I wasn't as well. I cleaned up pretty well. Luckily, they had wet wipes in that room. Thank God. And then I got out, went, grabbed my underwear, threw it away in a dumpster on the way back to my dorm, which was only a couple blocks away, slapped on a new pair of underwear, put on new pants, even though they were all right. I just kind of, the principle of wearing the pants you just shit yourself in were a little bit too much, and went and joined the party again, and then we went to the tailgate. So, you know, a lot of people do a puke and rally. I did a shit and run. So shit and stay at it.
Yeah, I had a friend who, we were outside and we were about to leave, and then he farts and goes, oh God.
Yeah.
And as he's walking away, I just see his shit on his underwear because it went up the crack. And I'm just laughing hysterically. He's in there for about 20 minutes.
Right.
And he says he threw the underwear out the window.
Yeah.
And it was in this like enclosed space where the windows are that you can't like get to at all anymore.
Oh,
just by how the
inside of the building.
Yeah. Or something like that. And so it's very likely those shit underwear are still there to this day.
A landmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, my situation could have been much worse. First of all, I got hit in the frickin' face with a golf club. Could have lost my vision from this dumb girl who said she wanted to date me, but not date me. So that's cool. And also shit my pants in front of so many people I hung out with in college, and a cacophony of different ladies, and got away with it and enjoyed myself the rest of the day, and learned a lesson to not pregame with coffee, or if I do, to not make it 3 whole cups, to do your business before you go to the party, and if you're peeing outdoors, don't just let a fart out. Don't just try and get one of those out of there. Don't be so casual about it, okay? Get over a toilet, handle your business. Be an adult, okay? So I'm an adult now, and I don't do that.
One of life's strong lessons.
And that's what you get here when you watch Jack's Tap. When you listen to Jack's Tap, we are on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube now. John, do you have anything before we wrap up?
That is all. Don't shit your pants.
Don't shit your pants. Happy New Year. Happy New Decade. You're all handsome.
Now you're gone. I realize my love for you was strong, and I miss you here. Now you're gone. I keep waiting here by the phone with the pictures hanging on the wall. Is this the way it's meant to be? Only dreaming that you're missing me.